Let's get into it. No. I'm filming both shows at the same time. Coach Colin News. What's going on, everyone? A lot of people are accusing Ben Shapiro of very much, and all of the Daily Wire really, but Ben Shapiro mainly, they're accusing him about flip-flopping in regards to cancel culture. He used to be gung-ho about fighting it and talking about how we need to do everything we can to fight it because it's just not something that you should do. You're trying to silence speech, various arguments like that. To now, he's talking a lot about an Overton window, and we are a publisher, not a platform, and we don't have to keep anybody, all of these different things. So Andrew Schulz, if you don't know him, he has a podcast called Flagrant. He has another podcast called The Brilliant Idiots with Charlemagne the God. He's a stand-up comedian. He's been on Rogan many times. He is now calling out Ben Shapiro, and he even goes as far as to ask the question if the Daily Wire is an Israeli media platform. So he's going hard on Ben Shapiro right now. Also, I found a compilation on X where they are pointing out the way Ben used to talk about cancel culture and the way he's talking about it now ever since firing Candace Owens. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about what the Overton window actually is, because you're going to hear it a few times throughout these clips. Let's start with the compilation, then move on to Andrew Schulz calling Ben Shapiro out. Let's go.
We have literally tens of millions of people in the United States who are afraid that the cancel culture is coming for them. And cancel culture does exist. Okay, so what this results in very, very often is corporations looking to cram down a particular viewpoint on you and then cancel you. When it comes to the hosts on the Daily Wire, obviously everyone is able to say what they want. But the reality is that there is an Overton window at the Daily Wire. There are polls out there that show that a vast majority of Americans in every single political group, including liberals, feel like they cannot say what they want to say in public because they're afraid that they are going to be canceled, fired, cast out from polite society. This actually happened to a socialist moron named Nathan Robinson. He got canceled from The Guardian. And he said he got canceled from The Guardian because he had put up some anti-Israel tweets. Okay, now I think he's an idiot. I think that his views on Israel are abhorrent, but I don't think that he should lose his columnist slot over at The Guardian. That's a different story, obviously, when it comes to any publisher. Any publisher gets to make decisions about what it wishes to purvey and not. He certainly would not defend anybody on the other side who got canceled. In fact, he has repeatedly said cancel culture does not exist. Okay, it does exist. The fact that there are people out there who want you to lose your job for the sin of saying things they don't agree with is extraordinarily real, and it is happening on a moment-by-moment basis. You know, the Daily Wire is a publisher, not a platform. Publishers obviously have to decide what sort of things they wish to pay for the publication of, and when it comes to hosts and publishers, parting ways, obviously there'll be a non-meeting of the minds. That's pretty much all I can say on that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there was a non-meeting of the minds. That's pretty much all I can say on this.
Non-meeting of the minds, the Overton window. Let's just jump over to the Overton window before I jump into Andrew Schulz calling him out. The Overton window is a political theory that identifies a spectrum of acceptability of governmental policies. It states that politicians are limited in what policy ideas they can support, and they generally only pursue policies that are widely accepted throughout society as legitimate policy options. Any policy falling outside the Overton window is out of step with public opinion and the current political climate, and formulated to try and shift the Overton window in a different direction or expand it to be wider. So I think in regards to politics, that's what it's stated. It's a political term. But when it comes to speech, when it comes to, I don't know what you would call Candace Owens or them, media personalities, it seems like what's happened with her is she stepped outside the Overton window. Now, when you're stepping outside the Overton window, it seems like you're just saying things that are not widely accepted by your publisher, by the company that you work for, which in Candace's with Candace, it would be the Daily Wire. So there was a window there. She stepped outside of it. She said something that Ben and Jeremy disagree with, and that ended her career there. Something that in that compilation Ben said is very dangerous, very real, needs to be fought against. It's interesting. It's interesting to see. Very interesting to see. Now, let's check out Andrew Schulz calling out Ben Shapiro, going hard, Mr. Schulz. I don't know where this came from. I didn't even know that they knew of each other or that they were on each other's radars. Let's go.
For censorship. He calls it something else.
Yeah, I forget the term. I have it in my phone.
But I don't even think he's using the term right. But he's basically like, there's a window of ideas we accept.
Yes.
And we accept ideas between this, I guess this is, if I get window, you're looking like this. So we accept ideas between here and here. And anything outside of that window, well, you're fireable. That's censorship.
What?
But he's acting as if this is like a justified reason for firing people when you built your identity and platform off of no censorship and freedom of speech and facts don't care about your feelings and all this shit.
It's also funny that window happens to end where his beliefs end.
Isn't
it interesting?
You would say that.
Not being pro-Israel, that's where the window ends. That's also your specific personal belief.
What?
So I just don't see.
So you can't have an opinion on your platform that is not pro a country that is not ours?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Crazy. I wish.
So is the Daily Wire an American media platform or is it an Israeli media platform? I'm just asking.
This guy's cooking.
I'm just asking. If the rule is, I'm just saying, if the rule is you cannot be critical, because he has no problem being very critical of America.
Yep.
He's critical of the left in America. Left is half the country. You have no problem eviscerating half of the country.
That's the current party in power.
But you can't criticize Israel as a country. That's just another country, unless you're saying, and you're clearly admitting, that the Daily Wire is an arm of the Israeli, I guess, media or propaganda machine. Wait, is that?
Oof.
Are you manipulating the religious right in America? Are you manipulating the right-wing conservatives in America and selling them country western movies and putting on your little cowboy hat and fake moving to Nashville so that you could take all their money and then in the process restricting free speech, one of the core tenets of the American identity? Ben.
Oof.
Benjamin.
What is happening? There's trouble in paradise.
That was wild. To suggest that it's an arm of Israel is wild. Wow. Andrew and again, I don't know where this is coming from. Andrew Schulz. You know, I don't know that he is a big Candace Owens supporter. He hasn't really, I guess he's talked about it here and there, but he hasn't fully come out as, you know, pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. He's not usually touching on those things because he has a big belief as a comedian that when you get on stage or that when you're in front of camera, you know, a part of comedy is people shouldn't be able to tell what side you're on. And that always gives you the element of surprise, which always helps you when you're trying to build a punchline and build up a joke or a bit. He always makes sure that people don't know what side you're on. So it's just interesting to see that he has this take on Ben. Very interesting to see. Asking a lot of, I guess you could say, important questions. I don't know that I would frame it that way. But I definitely, when I heard Ben talking and Tucker Carlson, when I heard their exchange, it seemed like Tucker was this very America first. And Ben was very much like, we should be focusing on Israel. And I was able to see both sides because if you're a Jewish man, you're going to be like, this so needs to be focused on. Do you not see what just happened? And everybody was, you know, many politicians, Nikki Haley, Lindsey Graham, Biden, Trump, like everybody was focusing on it, you know, and that's understandable. But Tucker was very much of the mindset of what's going to happen now? Are we sending $100 billion to them now as well? What about here? Kind of both sides make sense. But I was definitely on, especially conversations I've had, I was definitely on Tucker's side of, you know, especially doing videos on the fentanyl issue and seeing, you know, one place to name would be Kensington, Philadelphia, especially seeing places like that exist, especially knowing that people in Chicago, aka Chirac, have access to the biggest firearms and they're warring gangs constantly. And it's just so many people are dying. Kanye West talks about it a lot. You know, how many people die in Chicago every day. You know, you do look at it and you go, yeah, there's some things to fix here. You know, I look at it the same way I look at if Gavin Newsom's like, hey, we need to fix this and fix that. It's like, hey, buddy, you fix California. Don't worry about what's going on with Biden or Trump. Don't worry about that. You have all of California to fix. Get over there. Ron DeSantis wants to come and talk about these things. I'm going to say, okay. He has a good hold on his state. He knows what's going on there. You, on the other hand, you need to clean up the people, please. You have people all over your floor, sir. There's tents everywhere. Clean up before you come and talk to all of us over here. So I do understand America first. And there's so many Americans that feel the exact same way. It's like, how so many citizens that feel the exact same way, especially if you're from New York, especially if you're from these places that are just getting so beaten down with the immigrant crisis and the drugs and, you know, just interesting. But I do find this very not alarming. I find it funny that he's questioning Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire like this. I think it's interesting that he's asking these questions. Here's another perspective. He's friends with Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne the God is very left-leaning. Now, I'm not going to just assume Andrew is as well, but they don't often argue too heavily when it comes to politics. So is this just a very left-leaning guy who's just looking at this conservative platform and being like, I'm going to poke at this a little bit because of the situation that they're in, you know? You know what I mean? Because I think he's a Biden guy. He's not a Trump guy. He didn't vote Trump. And if he did, he's so much on the left, you know, even if he's center left, he's so much to the left that he would never even admit it if he voted for Trump, just based on the people that he's around in his everyday circle. So he's a Biden guy. So maybe he's just taking this opportunity to be like, let me poke at these conservative people who are always poking at the left. Let me poke at them a little bit. I wonder. But again, people are calling out Ben. You know, that compilation that I pulled up, that wasn't done by Andrew Schulz. And there's a lot of people who are questioning what's going on over there. And they're comparing it to censorship, and they're comparing it to, you know, going a little hard on freedom of speech, you know, censoring freedom of speech. You know, you have to have certain opinions to work there. And I don't know. It seems like you do. That's what it seems like. That's why I made that video about Matt Walsh. And I was like, oh, is Matt Walsh time up? Because he's saying that there shouldn't be protections for Jewish people. He's saying there should be protections for everybody. Is that, you know, like, to a Jewish person hearing that, is that going to make that Jewish person feel the same way that all lives matter makes a very liberal or Democrat a black person feel? You know, when they hear all lives matter, they're like, oh, how dare you? How dare you say all lives matter? Black lives matter. You know, like, if you hear, I don't want protection on just Jewish people, I want it for everybody. And that's how it should work. And there should be no hate speech laws that are specific to them. Does that feel like an attack to those people? Because if it does, then I'm sure his clock is ticking. Who knows? Who knows? Just found it interesting. Wanted to show you guys that. Like, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about what Schulz said. Let me know what you think about Ben's stance. Let me know what you think about the Daily Wire. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.